Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart on PlayStation 5 is one of the console's best exclusives, and as a trophy hunter, this game was an absolute joy to play, and unlocking that Masters of the Universe Platinum trophy was really satisfying. And you know what? This was a bit of a rare game for me because it was actually a really fun game to go for the Platinum trophy in, and best of all, to my surprise, it was pretty much a bullshit-free trophy list, which, as you can imagine, I was very happy about. And seeing as how this is that one bullshit PlayStation trophy, I guess you're wondering why I've made a video about this game. Well,
what just happened?
I'm one step away from beating the game 100%. I've come so far in my quest. All my gaming skills have been put to the test. I've leveled up all the moves and more. I got so many coins, my hands are getting sore. I'm so close to the blast, to the plat. Just check my trophy stats, made all the bosses pay. There's one more trophy getting in my way, but it's the worst one of all. So this might be where I fall. Really hope I don't flop. I gotta make sure I pop that one bullshit PlayStation trophy.
so while I do think this is a very bullshit-free trophy list, I did think there are a couple of annoying trophies in Rift Apart that are worth talking about. So in today's episode, I'm going to be talking about some annoying and not necessarily bullshit trophies. And first up is the Extinction Event trophy for killing 5 Grunthors. Now, the Grunthors are these large sort of T-Rex styled enemies that you'll encounter at various points throughout the game. The first of which is when you're on Rivet's homeworld, and you'll eventually come across one of these that you have to fight as part of the story. And you can tell it's a Grunthor because, well, the health bar says so. So these are bigger sort of mini boss sort of enemies that take a lot of bullets for them to finally fall down. So you'll be fighting these for a little while at the start because you won't have too many good guns. But if you just keep blasting away and keep moving around and dodging them, you'll eventually kill the Grunthor. And that is 1 of 5 down. I wouldn't come across another Grunthor until I got to the final challenge of the Bronze Cup in the battle arena, as that requires you to face off against an undead Grunthor named Sue of all things. And even though this Grunthor was dead, the battle was pretty much the same as before, as the enemy would do the same sort of attacks and I would dodge them and fight them in the same sort of way. And again, Sue has a massive health bar that takes a while to drain down with your basic weapons, but eventually I killed her, the second Grunthor, with only 3 more to go until I would get this trophy. When I arrived at this planet and began to explore the big open area for the other collectibles in the game, I then ran across my next Grunthor, who kind of caught me off guard at first, but as the fight was pretty much the same as all the others and they'd never do any more moves, which is kind of disappointing in a way, but at least it keeps things nice and simple and easy, and that's kind of what they were going for with the trophies in this game, I think, just nice and simple that anyone can unlock. So this fight was another whitewash with me easily killing the Grunthor, and that was then 3 of 5 Grunthors killed, so I only needed 2 more. And as I continued to explore this area, I then came across this Grunthor who was getting attacked by some of the other enemies in the game. So I decided to help out the Grunthor at first by taking out all of these jetpack flying enemies, because I thought they are going to be a bit more of a nuisance than the actual Grunthor. So with them out of the way, I could then just focus on the Grunthor and just blasting this Grunthor to smithereens, because I already knew all of its attacks, so it was fairly easy to kill, even if my weapons were slightly underpowered. And with that one down, I just needed 1 more Grunthor to kill, which was pretty sweet, to be honest, because I heard that this trophy was a bit annoying, to be fair, but so far it was kind of okay. So as I continued to explore this area, riding on one of those little creatures to get across the water, I came across this Grunthor who was asleep, and instead of just leaving it to rest, I decided to just attack it with all of my weapons. lobbing grenades in its face and just doing as much damage as I could to it. I even used my little TOBPT cannon thing to turn it into like a hedged version of the creature, so I could just blast it some more, and eventually I depleted all of its giant health bar and killed it, and that then was my 5 of 5 Grunfalls killed, and I was pretty pleased with myself there because I got it quite early, and as I stood there I awaited the trophy to finally pop, and well, it didn't. Fuck. That's right, even though I killed 5 Grunfalls in the game, the trophy didn't even pop. And I don't really know what was wrong here, but my suspicions are that the one in the arena battle wasn't actually a Grunfall technically, because the health bar said it was a Sue character and not Grunfall. So I think that's why I didn't get it, and I wouldn't get this trophy until late in the game when I was fighting Dr. Nefarious, as he ends up spawning one in through a rift portal that he opens up, and this one did have the name Grunfall. And once I just defeated this as part of the Nefarious fight, the trophy did pop. So I don't think it's technically glitched, because the arena one is called Sue and not Grunfall, and it is a Grunfall, but it's an undead one. So yeah, that's a bit of an annoyance. The next trophy that annoyed me was the Shifty Character one, because it's one that requires you to strike all of the Blizon crystals throughout the game. So these are crystals in certain levels that will transform a level, taking you to a alternative dimension version of that level. So you have to sort of do these as you play through these levels in order to progress through the story and through the level itself. So for the most part, they're just out in the open in certain areas that you have to transform the world in order to progress further through the level. So for the most part, you'll just be getting most of these naturally as you play through the game. And it's kind of cool to just see how instantaneously the game just switches between the 2 dimension versions of this level. And it's kind of just cool to see how vastly different they are, because one will just be a nice vibrant one, and the other one is usually like a wreckage because this dimension's version of the world has been destroyed, kind of thing. So it is kind of cool to just go through the levels and see this, but the trophy itself is kind of annoying because there are often some crystals that are off the beaten path, so you do have to explore at times to try and find all of these. But a cool thing about it is that they're kind of easy to see because they glow this bright purple colour, so you can often see them in the distance. It's just then a task of you kind of figuring out how you need to get over to them, whether you need to use a vehicle or whether you can hover or jetpack over there to them. And the good thing is that they're all marked on the map, so you can easily see which ones you need to get. However, when you switch dimensions, they're still there, so you have to think there's more than what there actually is. And there are a couple of awkward ones, to be honest, especially in the first world, as you get a bunch that are on these grind rails that you can easily miss, I think, because you need to switch to the different tracks in order to get them all, but you could end up just going straight forward and missing them. So you would definitely want to keep an eye out for those ones. But with those done, you'll then get to the end of the level where you smash your final crystal, and then you'll think you've had it, but oh no, it's not over yet, because there's another level where you play as Ratchet, where you have to smash even more crystals. So in this level there's a fair few more, though they don't seem to be as many as in the level with Rivet, but there are still a few out in the open area and in the indoor sections of the level. But again, they're kind of easy to get because you can see them on the map, and you can easily see them through their glowing purple colour. But it is a bit of a frustrating one, to be honest, because there's no way to keep track of which ones you have and haven't smashed. So even though you see them on the map, they don't ever display like a tick next to the icon. So if you do happen to miss one in a level, you then will be in for a hard time going back through the level, striking all of them. And when I finally got my last one in the level with Ratchet, as you can see here, the game glitched out.
What is that?
Yep, that's right. When I struck my last crystal, it didn't actually transform the level properly, so all of the floor was invisible and I didn't actually know where I was jumping to. Sure, I could see the odd platform and some of the items in the level, but I couldn't actually see the level itself, and no matter how many times I struck that crystal to transform back and forth between the dimensions, it would never spawn in the the safe dimension properly, so I had no idea of where I was actually treading, and well, the only way to fix it was to just die and respawn in the level, as then the level would just reload. But yeah, it's a trophy that fucked up the game, so that's why I made it onto this list.
What do we got?
The next annoying trophy is the Return Policy Trophy, which requires you to kill 10 enemies using the Void Reactor's Deflect Bullets move. So this is one that's kind of a bit of an annoying trophy because, well, the Void Reactor weapon can only do this move for this trophy once the weapon has been upgraded to its level 5 status. So any other level below that, you can't actually do the required move in order to get this trophy with this weapon, because you need to level it up to level 5 in order to then level up the weapon's mods and upgrades for you to be able to get those moves where you can catch enemy bullets and then repel them back to an enemy. So you need to level up the gun to level 5 and then use your raritanium to upgrade the weapon further to be able to do this move, but the game doesn't actually tell you that. So of course, when I first got the weapon early on in the game, I was constantly trying to do this move and deflect bullets back using the weapon to try and get the trophy, but it would just never fucking work, and I just didn't know what I was doing wrong. And it kind of felt like Insomniac was just taking a piss here by not revealing that you needed to level it up to 5 first. So of course I was just constantly trying to do it in any sort of fight that I could, but if you're too close to an enemy, you'll often just kill them with the blast of the shield pushing outward. So it was really awkward to try and even do, and when I wasn't even leveled up to 5 to be able to do it, I just didn't know what I was doing and how I was supposed to ever get this trophy. Because it's just stupid that it doesn't tell you that you need to level it up, because most of the other guns, the trophies for the other guns, you can do them straight away on a level 1 version. It's only this Void Reactor trophy when you need to be level 5 with the weapon in order to get it. So it's just kind of strange that this one was different. So I then went through the rest of the game just trying to use this weapon as much as possible to attack and kill enemies with, so I could earn more XP and gradually get the weapon up to level 5, so that I could then start to actually work on this damn trophy. And it did take a while, because the weapon starts off quite weak and a lot of enemies take multiple hits with the weapon in order for you to kill them. So you want to try and do it on the smaller ones, because you can kill them in one hit and kill multiple at once. And of course the weapon often runs out of juice, because a couple of shots with it and you'll just lose your percentage. But eventually I did manage to get it to level 5 during one of the arena battles, and I then set to work at one of the Zircon shops, upgrading the rest of the weapon with the raritanium, so I was now finally ready to start going for this trophy. And it's here where the trophy became even more annoying, because it's so awkward to actually bounce the weapons back at enemies, and when you try and bring up your shield, you'll often find that you just get zapped of energy by the enemy bullets coming in to protect you. Look at here, it just drains to 0 straight away. I was at like 75 or something, and I instantly ran out of ammo because it was protecting me from the bullets. It's just such a pain in the ass to try and bounce bullets back, because it's not just a case of holding the shield up and the bullets will automatically bounce back. You have to press the fire button in order to bounce the bullets back. But when you do this, you're actually attacking with the shield itself. So if you're too close, you'll accidentally kill the enemy with the shield and not the bouncing bullets. So you have to be far away from them. But then not every enemy will shoot you, so it's kind of awkward to do it, and you can't see clearly at times when the bullets are bouncing back, and you also have to be aiming manually at where you want the bullet to bounce to, because for a lot of times it didn't seem to just automatically bounce back to the enemy. I had to have my crosshair over that enemy that I wanted it to hit, and you'll only see these little small purple bullets flying back. It's never all of the bullets that are coming into you. So when you see those enemies with the machine guns, it doesn't really work as well as you think it would, because you only end up bouncing 1 or 2 back. And of course when you do that, you're using more of the weapon's ammo, so you're draining the shield itself. So you'll often find that you're in a big battle with some enemies and you're desperately trying to bounce bullets back, but you'll end up running out of ammo for the weapon before they eventually die, because it's not just a case of bouncing 1 bullet back and they die straight away. Oh no, you have to do it 2 or 3 times before they eventually die. And you'll also find that not every bullet can be bounced back. It's only specific projectiles that you can bounce back, so that's also annoying. And oftentimes when there's more than one enemy on the screen, you'll be getting attacked by all these other weapons that you have to dodge their bullets. So when you're trying to bounce one enemy's bullets back, you'll end up moving out of the way to avoid the other attacks. So it's just really, it becomes really awkward and frustrating to try and get this trophy, and I kept trying it in certain spots, getting really pissed off and then just moving on with the game. I'd end up pulling out another weapon and just destroying them and just forgetting about it for a while. It's definitely an awkward one. Though I did find out after I got the trophy that you can use one of the cheats for infinite ammo, so that'll definitely make it easier, so you won't have the problem of running out of bullets halfway through trying to get it. But eventually I got the return policy trophy in this area here. I just kept dying and just killing a few enemies, dying and then respawning here and just getting this battle. Because you'd have these machine gunners with the blue bullets and you could just bounce them back at a couple of enemies, and maybe I'd get like 1 or 2 and then I'd die, respawn and then do this section again until I eventually got the trophy. But yeah, this was just a really clunky and awkward trophy to get because the weapon itself just isn't that great. The next final trophy I want to talk about is the Unbearably Awesome trophy, which requires you to find all of the Krieger bears throughout the game. So these are a collectible teddy bear that you can find and you just have to pick up by pressing triangle, and these are just hidden around all of the game's levels. But one of the problems with these is that these are the only collectible type that doesn't actually show up on the map, so you have no way in game of knowing where they are and how many they are. So they're all these tiny little bears that are quite hard to see anyway, and the fact that they aren't marked on the map just makes them even more bullshit to try and get. And there are 9 in total for you to collect, so thankfully there's only 9, so there's not too many, they don't go too crazy, and it's basically just 1 in every main level of the game. And when you do get close to them, they do make a sort of noise, and there is that sort of sparkly sort of glow effect to them, but they are quite hard to see, and there was a couple that I missed. I think I missed 3 of them, 3 out of 9 after completing the game, that were just out in the open, and there's a couple where you have to use the Blizon crystals to transform the world and switch dimensions before you can pick them up. So there are a couple that can be quite awkward to try and find, and it's just weird how these were the only collectible type not marked on the map, and it's just a bit awkward really. It's a bit of a fuck you from them, I think. But thankfully there was only 9, because it could have been a lot worse if there was like say 100 that you needed to get. So it's not a really painful collectible trophy, but it's still a little bit of an annoying one. And that's it for the worst trophies that you'll have to get in Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. And as you can tell from this video, they're not really that bad, to be honest. It's definitely not a bullshit list, so I can only give this a trophy rating of...
What? Is that it?
Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
You gotta be kidding me.
Oh.
You gotta be kidding me. I practically had it.